morning all the CSEET foundation students. I know accounting has been introduced as a full-fledged paper. My name is Arjun Varadraj and I shall be talking through all the changes in your accounting paper. Do subscribe and also comment if you are looking for a full-fledged video, and I'll be uploading the entire thing. So now let's try to look into it. Accounting was earlier there in CS foundation. Then when it came to CSEET, they removed it. Now again they have reintroduced it, but this time as a full-fledged paper. So now what we are going to be looking at this video is we are going to cover all the topics which are going to be asked and what is that which is expected from you. So now let's dive deep into it. Now they have typically covered 8 topics for you guys in your CSEET. Now let's look into the topic number 1, which is your basic concepts and principles of accounting. And the second chapter is accounting process. The third chapter is bank reconciliation statement. The fourth chapter is depreciation accounting. The fifth one is final accounts. The sixth is partnership. The seventh is your company accounts, and finally your NPO. So you typically have 8 topics. Now for the guys who are preparing for your CA foundation, most of these topics, or I can say every topic, is already covered. Now for the ones who are from a commerce background, I think all the 7 chapters are covered in your 11th and 12th. Only the 8th chapter is something that is new. For all the science students who are really worried on how do I go about it, don't worry. At ArivuPro, we have full-fledged live classes recorded, as well as your face-to-face classes in Bangalore, Chennai and Coimbatore, where you can inquire and come in and attend our classes. Now let's try to look into the chapter number 1, which has got to do with your basic concepts. What are they going to be testing on it? Now in the basic concepts of accounting, they are going to be testing you on what is the meaning and the scope of accounting, what's the difference between bookkeeping and accounting, what are the objectives and significance of accounting, finally your 9 accounting concepts and principles. They also have included the measurement and valuation transactions, and finally your accounting standards, which is just a brief portion. So typically you have 6 topics which are going to be covered in your topic number 1. Now let's come to your topic number 2, which is got to do with your accounting process. Here we are going to be looking into first what is a double entry system. Then we are going to be looking into the classification and rules of accounting. That's your traditional accounting of real, nominal and personal accounts. We are also going to be looking into the accounting equation approach and try to look into your accounting portion. Then we have journals, ledgers, subsidiary book, cash balance, trial balance, and finally your rectification of errors. So typically again we look into it. They have covered into 6 topics, going through the entire process of identifying a transaction till finalization into trial balance and also doing rectification of errors. Now let's look into the next topic. This is one of our students' most favorite and the easiest topic, is your bank reconciliation statement. Here we are going to understand what's the difference between the cash book and the passbook. We'll also try to understand what are the differences causing between cash book and passbook. It can be because of timing difference, because of the common causes, or maybe because of the errors and omission. So 3 kinds of differences we are going to be looking into it. Then when we look into the preparation process, we either can start with cash book and end with passbook, or passbook with cash book. So you have both. So we have reconciliation statements, and also we have adjusted cash book, which is going to be a pretty simpler topic for you guys. Now that's your chapter number 3. Now chapter number 4 is got to do with your depreciation and amortization. Now here we have meaning of depreciation, we have straight line method, WDV method, and how are you going to treat it if there is a change in the method of depreciation. Then we have amortization, which is got to do with intangibles, and then trying to understand the key differences, how it's going to happen between depreciation and amortization. Finally, the matching principle rule of how do we treat it in the accounting statement. Again covered into 6 main topics, which is going to be there. So if you have not done any of your topics earlier, do comment about it, and I'm sure I'll be posting one of a video covering the entire concept on the topics that you have not done. Now let's look into the next video, next topic, which has got to do with your final accounts. Now, when we talk about final accounts starts from where your chapter 2 ends. That is, with the help of your trial balance, how are we going to be preparing trading account, profit and loss account, and balance sheet. Then we have adjustments, we have classification of assets, and then the classification of liabilities. Pretty straightforward chapters, 6 topics again, which covers, here is something that you might have little bit difficulty on, which is your adjustments. Otherwise, more or less, it's a pretty straightforward chapter at the CSEET level. Finally, now let's come to your partnership, right? Now, when we look into the partnership, this is the most lengthiest topic in your entire CSEET. One is we are going to learn a little bit of Partnership Act. Then we are going to learn about goodwill valuation. Here we have average profits method, super profits method, and capitalization method. Then we have reconstitution of the firm, where we are going to learn about admission, retirement, and death. Then here we are going to be looking at how do we revalue an asset, how are we going to distribute your profits, how are we going to accumulate reserves, and your adjustments of your capital accounts. Now next, we are going to learn about changes in the profit sharing ratio, that is when partners are getting admitted or retired, how it's going to work. Then dissolution of partnership, and finally a little bit more insight about what's an LLP all about. Now this is your core of accounting, and this is going to be your base for your CS executive. For the students who are going to be directly entering into CS executive, this topic, if you understand, that is more than enough. Here we are going to learn about share capital, what are the different types of classification, that is basically authorized, issued, paid up, par premium, discount, what is calls in arrears, what is calls in discount, no sorry, calls in arrears and calls in advance, how are we going to deal with share forfeiture and reissue of it. Then we have debentures, issues and redemption, and then we also have redemption of preference shares. So these are the topics which are going to be there. This is your second highest, or if you ask me from your career person, this is the most important topic for you guys. Finally, the chapter which has got to do with non-profit organization. A lot of times students, they keep asking, sir, we are company secretaries, why are we learning about non-profit organization? Because as company secretaries now, you guys are going to be looking into the section 25 companies, right? And also there are certain cases where the CSR funding happens. So you need to understand a little bit more about how an NPO operates. A non-profit organization, here we are going to learn first about the meaning. Then we are going to learn about receipts and payments. We are going to prepare our income and expenditure account, which is pretty much similar to P&L account on your final accounts. Then we are going to learn about balance sheet, fund-based accounting, which is basically when you have a specific fund, how are we going to look into it? And finally, how are we going to compare, or how are we going to make sure that we have service over profit maximization as a goal? We are going to learn a little bit theory on it. So you guys have only 8 chapters, not so difficult, and do type in the topics that you think are going to be difficult, and at ArivuPro we are definitely going to help you out. All the best, and looking forward to see you guys in the next video.